Hey everyone, welcome back. So, I know it's been a while, but fall semester is always super busy. But anyway, so for today, I've got my September wrap up and my September book haul to share with you guys. I'm making this all into one video because my wrap up is really short. I only had time to read 3 books in September. So, yeah, it's gonna be a pretty short one today, so let's get into it. Um, the first book that I finished was Pandemonium by Lauren Oliver, and this is the second book in the Delirium trilogy. And this book pretty much picks up where Delirium leaves off, sort of, kind of. The way this book is set up is it goes back and forth between the present and the past, and the past is shows what happened immediately after Delirium ends. So what happens with Lena immediately after where we left off in Delirium, and the present is set a few months after that. And so one thing is I really don't like when books do that, go back and forth between past and present, because I really get sucked into one story, one timeline, and I start to really get into it and really enjoy that part. And then we have to switch back to the past. And the past scenes were okay, but I was just way more into what was going on with Lena in the present. So that part I didn't really like. But overall, the book was, it was a pretty good book. It had a lot more action in this book than the first one did. And we get to meet some new characters in this one, including Raven and Gillian, and a couple other new characters. I can't remember their names. But yeah, this one was an okay read for me. I think I started reading this book right when I was going into a reading slump, because I started it mid-August and I didn't finish till beginning of September. So I sort of started it when I was going into reading slump. So it was just okay for me. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. But yeah, that's what I thought of that one. And then the next book that I read was, this one was for the Bookbusters Book of the Month. So for that read along, we read All the Truth That's in Me by Julie Berry. And this book pretty much is about this girl named Judith. Her best friend goes missing, disappears, and she ends up disappearing right after. And her best friend's body turns up a few days later. It turns up, and of course she's dead. And Judith is held captive for I think 2 years or so. And then she returns back to her hometown. But before she returns, her captor cut out her tongue so she couldn't talk. So that's pretty much what this book is about. This book I gave a 3 out of 5 stars. I was expecting a bit more from this book. This book, I was expecting more of a mystery with who took Judith, and trying to figure out who's behind this, who took her. But we find out pretty early on who takes her. And I also thought it would dive more into her time being held captive, but it really didn't focus much on that either. It was mainly, her being back in her town, and people treating her differently um, because of the fact that she can't talk now because of her tongue. And so that's, for the most part, that's what was going on in this book. So it was different than what I expected, which is why I only gave it 3 out of 5 stars. But it still was a pretty good book. So, and also this book is written from second person point of view. So that didn't really bother me too much. It was a little bit confusing in the beginning, but yeah, I got used to it and it didn't bother me too much. But if that bothers you, that's something to keep in mind. So, yeah. And then the third book that I read this month was Maze Runner by James Dashner. I don't have the actual book to show you guys because I read this on my iPad. So I'm just going to talk about it. So basically, Maze Runner, I saw the trailer for the movie, and that's what made me decide I wanted to read it, because the trailer looked good and I wanted to see the movie, which I did see the movie and I did enjoy. It does, there is a lot of stuff that they change in the movie. Not really plot-wise, but, a lot of details from the book is changed in the movie. And so that might bother some people. For me, it was okay. But definitely the book is better. The book, Maze Runner, if you guys haven't read it, the main character is Thomas, and he wakes up in a maze with several other boys around him who have been there for a while. They've lived in this maze for a couple years now, and they're basically trying to find a way out of it. They don't have much of their memories, so they don't know how they got there, who put them there, what the purpose of this maze is. You don't know any of that information up front. All of that is sort of mystery. So it's basically just them trying to, figure out a way to escape the maze and get back home. The book, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. There was some parts that I thought were kind of slow towards the middle and stuff, where they were not really doing much. But the ending was amazing, and I think definitely made up for some of those slow parts. The ending was full of action, full of suspense. There were twists. It just was a really great ending, and it definitely made me want to continue on with the series. So yeah, gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Now, let's move on to the book haul portion. So, this month, I actually only bought 3 physical books, and I have like 4 e-books that I bought. So, the first book, physical book, that I've heard quite a bit of people on BookTube talk about, and it's Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. And I don't know too much about this book. I've heard several people, including Lainey from Ginger Reads Lainey, talk about this book, and they love it. And I think it's like this girl who's supposed to get married like I think it's like an arranged marriage or something. And she, on her wedding day, I think it's her wedding day, she ends up running away. And so that's pretty much all I remember about this book, but it does sound interesting, so I do want to get into it. And then the next book that I got, okay. So this next book, of course, I had to pick up when it came out, and I forget what date it came out, but it is The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey, and I cannot wait to get started into this book. I'm holding off on reading this book for now because I have my NCE test coming up October 18th, and so I'm really trying to focus on that test and study for that, even though I really would much rather read, but I have to study for that test. But after that test is done, definitely want to jump right into The Fifth Wave, The Infinite Sea, the second book in the Fifth Wave series. So yeah, I cannot wait to get into it and see what happens. So then the last physical book that I bought, of course this was a must buy. This author is a must buy for me, obviously. It's Cassandra Clare. I will always buy her books, no matter what it is, because Mortal Instruments and Infernal Devices are two of my favorite series, so I'll always buy all of her books. Anyway, so I picked up The Iron Child by Cassandra Clare and Holly Black. I actually have never read a book by Holly Black, but I've heard a lot of people on BookTube talk about her books and love them and say how great they are, so I'll be interested to dive into her books as well. But definitely, because it was co-written with Cassandra Clare, I had to pick it up. So yeah, now I have The Iron Child. Then, after that, I just got a couple of ebooks. Let's see. So I just bought 4 ebooks, or not bought. I think one, the first one was free at the time. So anyway, I got Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I'm currently reading this one right now. I'm sort of in the middle, so it'll probably be in my October wrap-up. I'll let you guys know what I think about it once I finish it. I didn't really know too much going into the book, except that everyone on BookTube seems to absolutely love this book, and it's about aliens. That's pretty much all I knew going into it. So I'll let you guys know my thoughts when I do my October wrap-up. Then the next book I got was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, and this one was super cheap. I think it was like $1.99 or something at the time. So I figure, why not? It's super cheap. And then I got Maze Runner by James Dashner. Of course, I told you guys wanted to read it and see the movie, so got it on my iPad. Then the last book I got, because I also want to see this movie as well when it